Imagine waking up every morning feeling stuck in a life that doesn't feel like yours. You're following a roadmap designed by others, family, society, friends, without ever pausing to ask, is this what I truly want? What if I told you that the key to genuine happiness isn't about meeting others' expectations, but about embracing your own dreams, passions, and desires? Today, we'll explore the profound idea of living for yourself, not for others. By the end of this journey, you'll uncover a life-changing truth, one that can reshape how you see your existence forever. Throughout history, thinkers, from ancient philosophers to modern psychologists, have wrestled with the conflict between societal pressures and personal freedom. Why do we feel so driven to fulfill others' demands? What stops us from pursuing our own path? And most importantly, how can we break free from these invisible chains and start living a life that's authentically ours? If you've ever felt like you're acting out a role written by someone else, this is for you. Let's dive into why we fall into this trap, the cost of ignoring our true selves, and how you can reclaim your life, step by step. Stick around, because the final insight will set you free. From the moment we're born, we're shaped by the expectations of those around us. Parents, teachers, peers, and even strangers tell us what's acceptable, what's respectable, and what's desirable. Society defines success, happiness, and the right path to follow. But here's the truth. None of these definitions matter if they don't resonate with who you truly are. Philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre believed we're condemned to be free, born without a predetermined purpose, leaving it up to us to create our own meaning. Yet many people avoid this responsibility, choosing instead to conform to the roles society assigns them. They follow a safe, predictable route, avoiding criticism or rejection. But in doing so, they lose touch with their authentic selves. Psychologists have studied this extensively. Carl Jung introduced the concept of individuation, the journey of becoming your true self, rather than who others expect you to be. When we ignore our inner desires and adopt identities shaped by external pressures, we experience inner turmoil. This can manifest as anxiety, dissatisfaction, or even depression. Living for others might bring temporary approval, but it often leads to long-term emptiness. Think about it. How often have you held back from pursuing something you love because you feared judgment? How many times have you put your own needs aside to meet someone else's expectations? It's a painful reality, but one many people face daily. The need for acceptance is deeply rooted in our psychology. In ancient times, rejection could mean isolation or even death. Today, that primal fear still lingers, even though the stakes are lower. We seek validation through social media, career choices, and relationships, constantly measuring our worth by others' opinions. But here's the question you need to ask. Are you truly living, or are you just performing? The cost of living for others is steep. It leads to a life filled with regret, a sense that something's missing, even when everything looks perfect on the surface. Studies show that people on their deathbeds rarely regret what they did. They regret what they didn't do, the risks they avoided, the dreams they abandoned to please others. But here's the good news. You have the power to change this. You can choose to break free from the expectations that hold you back. You can start making decisions based on what truly fulfills you, not what pleases those around you. The first step is recognizing the signs that you're living for others instead of yourself. Do your choices feel driven by fear rather than passion? Do you struggle to set boundaries because you don't want to upset others? Do you constantly explain or justify your decisions? These are all clues that you're not fully living for yourself. Now, picture a different reality, one where your choices are guided by your own happiness, not others' approval. Imagine waking up each day excited about your path, free from the weight of expectations that don't belong to you. This isn't just a dream, it's entirely possible. In the next section, we'll explore how you can start reclaiming your life. Practical steps, mindset shifts, and powerful insights that will guide you toward authentic living. The most profound truth is yet to come, and it will change everything. Breaking free from others' expectations isn't easy. It takes courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to face discomfort. But here's the truth. Every great transformation begins with a moment of clarity, a realization that you're not living the life you truly want. That moment is now. So, how do you start reclaiming your life? The first step is understanding the illusion of obligation. Many people believe they must follow a set path, graduate, get a stable job, marry, have kids, retire. But who decided this is the only way? Who wrote these rules? The answer is simple: society. While some may find fulfillment in this path, others don't. The problem is that many never question it. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche believed the greatest human struggle is between conformity and self-mastery. He warned that living to please others leads to a herd mentality, where people follow the crowd without questioning if it's right for them. But those who dare to break free to create their own meaning become what he called the Übermensch, a person who rises above societal norms to embrace their individuality. Now think about your own life. How many of your decisions are truly yours? When was the last time you did something purely because it felt right for you, without worrying about others' opinions? If the answer is rarely or never, it's time to challenge this pattern. The second step is identifying the hidden influences shaping your choices. From childhood, we're conditioned to seek approval. Good behavior earns praise. Rebellion brings punishment. This conditioning stays with us into adulthood. When we choose careers, relationships, and lifestyles, we often do so with an invisible audience in mind: parents, friends, colleagues, or even strangers online. But living for approval is like chasing a mirage. No matter how much you do, it's never enough. Psychologist Abraham Maslow introduced the concept of self-actualization, the highest level of human fulfillment, where a person fully expresses their true self. However, he also identified a critical barrier: the need for belonging. Many people get stuck here, afraid to pursue self-actualization because it means risking rejection. But here's something powerful to remember. The price of true fulfillment is the willingness to stand alone when necessary. The third step is redefining success on your own terms. What does a successful life look like to you? Forget societal norms. Forget the checklist. Take a moment to reflect. If no one else's opinion mattered, what would you truly want? Maybe success means traveling the world, pursuing a creative passion, or simply living a peaceful, stress-free life. There's no universal definition of success, only what resonates with your soul. Consider the story of Henry David Thoreau, who left societal expectations behind to live simply at Walden Pond. He rejected materialism and conformity, choosing instead a life of self-discovery. His words, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams, live the life you've imagined," continue to inspire those seeking authenticity. But let's be honest, choosing yourself isn't always easy. People will question you, some will criticize you, others may even distance themselves. And that brings us to a hard truth: not everyone will support your journey, and that's okay. The fourth step is learning to be at peace with disappointing others. The need to please is deeply ingrained. We avoid conflict, we want to be liked, but at what cost? Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with you, you're saying no to yourself. Over time, these compromises add up, leading to a life that feels unfulfilled. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than others, but care more about their opinions than our own." This is a paradox. Why do we let others' judgments dictate our lives when we're the ones who have to live with the consequences? The truth is, others' opinions are fleeting. People who criticize today will forget tomorrow. But your life, your happiness, that stays with you. So, ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice your peace to avoid disappointing others? Or are you ready to take ownership of your life? Once you start prioritizing yourself, something incredible happens. You attract people and opportunities that align with your true self. Relationships built on expectations may fade, but the ones that remain will be deeper and more genuine. Living for yourself isn't selfish, it's honest. And when you live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. But we're just getting started. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into the psychological barriers that keep people trapped in the cycle of external validation and how to break free for good. The most powerful realization is yet to come, and when you hear it, everything will change. One of the biggest challenges in living for yourself is breaking free from the invisible chains of external validation. Even when we recognize we're living to please others, something inside resists change. That something is fear. fear of judgment, rejection, and failure. But here's the truth. Fear isn't a stop sign, it's a test. Those who push through it discover a level of freedom most people never experience. Why do we crave validation so deeply? The answer lies in our biology. Humans are wired for connection. In ancient times, being accepted by the group was a matter of survival. Rejection meant isolation, and isolation often meant death. While society has evolved, this primal fear remains. Today, rejection doesn't threaten our survival, but our brains still interpret it as danger. This is why criticism or disapproval can feel so overwhelming. Psychologists call this the social comparison theory, introduced by Leon Festinger. He argued that we evaluate our worth by comparing ourselves to others. This is why we seek validation through likes, promotions, or compliments. But the problem with external validation is that it's never enough. The more you seek it, the more you need it, creating an endless cycle. Now, imagine a different way of living. Imagine no longer seeking approval from those who don't understand your dreams. Imagine making choices without the weight of others' expectations. This isn't just a dream, it's a mindset shift. And the key to achieving it lies in one principle: detach your self-worth from others' opinions. The first step is redefining failure. Many avoid living authentically because they fear mistakes. They worry about what others will say if they take an unconventional path and it doesn't work out. But here's the truth. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every great thinker, innovator, and leader has faced rejection and criticism. What sets them apart is that they didn't let it define them. Take Vincent van Gogh. He created over 2,000 artworks, but sold only a few in his lifetime. Society dismissed him. People called him a failure. Yet today, he's celebrated as one of history's greatest artists. His work wasn't about approval, it was about expression. He lived for his art, not for others, and that's why his legacy endures. The second step is embracing solitude. Many fear being alone, equating it with loneliness. But solitude isn't loneliness, it's self-connection. The most authentic people in history, philosophers, artists, scientists, spent significant time alone, reflecting and creating. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who cannot be alone will never be free." Why? Because when you're constantly surrounded by others' voices, you never hear your own. When was the last time you sat in silence and truly listened to yourself? If you want to live authentically, you must reconnect with your inner voice. The third step is learning to disappoint others. This is perhaps the hardest lesson. If you choose to live authentically, some won't understand, some will criticize, some may distance themselves, and that's okay. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with you, you're saying no to your own happiness. You can't please everyone without sacrificing yourself, and the reality is, no matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion. So, why not live in a way that fulfills you? Mark Manson, in The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, argues that people waste too much energy worrying about things that don't matter. True happiness comes from choosing what's worth caring about. When you prioritize your own values, others' opinions lose their power. Now, let's make this practical. How do you start living for yourself today? First, identify one area of your life where you're making decisions based on others' expectations rather than your own desires. Is it your career, relationships, lifestyle? Acknowledge it. Awareness is the first step to change. Second, set boundaries. If something doesn't align with your values, learn to say no without guilt or explanation. Your happiness doesn't need justification. Third, take one bold step toward the life you want. Maybe it's pursuing a passion, speaking your truth, or walking away from something that no longer serves you. Whatever it is, do it. The final and most important realization is coming, and when you hear it, it will change everything. Stay with me, because the most powerful truth is about to be revealed. The most powerful truth of all is this: no one is coming to save you. No one will give you permission to live your life on your terms. No one will tell you, now it's okay to follow your dreams. If you're waiting for approval, a perfect moment, or a sign, it will never come. The only person who can free you is yourself. This realization is both terrifying and liberating. It means you're fully responsible for your happiness, choices, and future. But it also means you're no longer a prisoner of others' expectations.